BZ Watchdog gets citation in Fort Worth. Did Chille DeCastro overreact to the situation? Kate Peter returns to live streaming. Announces Masshole Troll Mafia 2.0 server. DeCastro announces dog Charlie is gravely ill but holds 3+ hour live stream before leaving to get the dog medicine. Is DeCastro a bad pet owner? The angry vet attacks the need for an attorney's shield or trifold. Do you agree with his take? Plus, Deborah Rogers attacks Cherokee Nation again. All this and more in a jam-packed edition of Auditing Insanity. Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Auditing Insanity Newscast powered by ReallyCoolNews. I'm AI Johnny Jones in for the recovering human Jim Finch, and I'll be your host for another collection of reports on YouTube drama and First Amendment auditors. We've got a jam-packed show tonight with news on BZ Watchdog, Jose Chille DeCastro, Kate Peter returning to Discord, and of course, more from the angry vet and a return of Deborah Rogers. With so much going on, we're going to dive back into things as we ask you to focus on
BZ Watchdog gets cited for disorderly conduct. Jose Chille DeCastro went live for an emergency broadcast Sunday afternoon upon receiving news that YouTuber BZ Watchdog was arrested in Fort Worth, Texas, and summoned his fans to fundraise and mobilize in what turned out to be a false alarm. BZ Watchdog earned fame as attorney Michael Aline's sidekick during the 4 months that DeCastro was incarcerated earlier in the year. Aline was one of the people who filled in for DeCastro, performing live streams that outpaced DeCastro's own live streams in total viewership on DeCastro's channel. Known as a heavy-set man who often drove for Uber while on live streams, BZ Watchdog was performing his duties as a driver during the incident that saw him briefly detained by Fort Worth police Sunday afternoon. According to BZ Watchdog's account, he had a pickup for Uber in the gated village of Stonegate community. When he approached the gates of the community, security asked him to show identification in order to enter the community. BZ Watchdog refused, and an argument ensued. BZ Watchdog claimed that he told the security guard that he needed to go back to Africa and relearn the Constitution in the altercation. According to BZ Watchdog's account, he identified the man as a non-United States citizen working in the U.S., and it was okay to use the phrasing as the man was legitimately from Africa. Infuriated, the man refused to let BZ Watchdog into the community to turn around and leave. Instead, he asked BZ to back his car up and do a 3-point turn. BZ refused, and the security guard called the police. BZ claimed that he pulled over to the side of the road as he wanted to talk to police officers when they arrived. When an officer arrived, BZ admitted to using the "Go Back to Africa" language and also argued that he could not be trespassed, as according to BZ's interpretation of the law, someone is only trespassing when they go past a posted "No Trespassing" sign. The YouTuber was taken into custody and given a notice of trespass from the property and was cited for disorderly conduct. He was not taken to jail and was jubilant as he managed to injure the back of his right hand while in handcuffs and pledged to hire an attorney to sue based on severe damage to his hand. News of BZ Watchdog's arrest prompted DeCastro to go live on YouTube and claim to have raised nearly $200 for BZ Watchdog before BZ Watchdog resumed live streaming after being released from police. DeCastro was ineffective in complaining to the security company that employed the guard and in making a complaint about the officers on scene to the Fort Worth Police Department. He encouraged his fans to contact both and gave out contact information as he continued with his Sunday night live stream. Jose DeCastro ignores dog Charlie illness to live stream. Fans of Jose Chille DeCastro had a few surprises waiting for them on his Sunday afternoon live stream as, after dealing with news about fellow YouTuber BZ Watchdog, DeCastro announced that his dog Charlie was gravely ill and that he intended to leave YouTube. With the news of BZ Watchdog's encounter with Fort Worth police amping up his nerves, DeCastro also claimed that YouTuber James Freeman was arrested on Sunday. DeCastro pulled up body cam footage of Freeman's arrest and critiqued both Freeman's actions during the arrest and the lies told by the police officer during the arrest. DeCastro did not note that the arrest was from October 17, 2024, which we've previously covered, and that police don't immediately release body cam footage from same-day arrests. The YouTuber slammed Freeman for not using an indestructible trifold during the traffic stop that led to the arrest, and for not having his license, registration and proof of insurance on hand to give to the officer in line with DeCastro's teachings about traffic stops. His attention now turned to a case in Jacksonville, Florida, where a local police officer was accused of improper contact with a minor after performing an investigation into a police report the minor had filed. DeCastro called the Jacksonville police dispatcher and demanded to talk to someone in charge. After several attempts at getting through to dispatch, including a hang-up of his own as a police representative from the BZ Watchdog case called him back, DeCastro again gave out the information for his supporters to contact the Jacksonville Police Department and ranted for a time about the officer's actions to the dispatcher who couldn't help him further. Switch again, DeCastro announced that his time on YouTube may be limited as he was probably going to stop posting on his Patreon page since his TeamDLZ.com service has effectively replaced it. He then pledged that he would be reposting his uncensored videos from TeamDLZ.com to Twitter a week after they aired on his paid service. He complained about YouTube and how YouTube was effectively killing his channels, with a little under 300 people watching him across 6 broadcast streams. He rallied against YouTube's revised guidelines, which have seen a crackdown on violence across the service. DeCastro warned that he would more than likely be leaving YouTube in the near future, since it had shadow banned him to the point that it didn't make sense to continue. Though he urged his fans to move over to his rebrand on his new First Amendment Auditor channel. That channel stands at 387 subscribers out of DeCastro's 323,000 subscribers for his main channel as of press time. Again, switching focus, DeCastro announced that he thought that the owners of the Peanut the Squirrel in New York City were disingenuous in their rallying cries after the squirrel was euthanized by local authorities last week. He claimed that Peanut's owners were simply trying to make a cash grab and could not support the cause. Finally, hours after announcing that his own dog Charlie was gravely ill, DeCastro said he needed to end the broadcast as he needed to go refill Charlie's medication for issues with his spleen. Charlie had been previously ill over the summer with spleen issues. We will update the condition of the animal as DeCastro releases updates.
The angry vet questions need for attorney's shield, trifold. YouTuber and convicted felon, the angry vet live-streamed Sunday afternoon with an unprecedented attack on Jose Chille DeCastro's indestructible trifold, questioning the value of the item in real-world conditions. The YouTuber took issue with the idea of a trifold as a magic get-out-of-ticket-free card, calling it a binky and making it clear that nothing would help if a police officer on scene or judge in court had their minds made up. He shot down the idea of the trifold having any meaning to anyone, as all a police officer on scene would want to see is license, registration, and proof of insurance. Citing trial cases and ideas of what the Constitution says from a law scholar doesn't help when the best thing to do, according to the angry vet, was to keep quiet and comply and hope the damage doesn't make you end up in jail. The angry vet also attacked the idea of the Attorney Shield app, claiming that he watched a YouTube video of someone trying to use the app who was paired with a lawyer in another state who couldn't possibly represent them at trial. He also warned that the person on that video implicated himself in a crime as he was talking to the out-of-state lawyer in front of the police officer, reminding his viewers that anything stated in the presence of a police officer can and will be used against them later. The angry vet went on to attack moderators for Jose Chille DeCastro, Let's ODVO, and Brick Jones, who were trolling his side chat. The YouTuber made it a running gag to time out Let's ODVO for various periods and see if Let's ODVO would be a glutton for punishment enough to return in order to be timed out again. Turning to DeCastro's stated goal of overturning the Terry versus Ohio Supreme Court decision, the angry vet asked what DeCastro and his followers were doing to overturn the decision. He correctly pointed out that spamming in a side chat didn't further the crusade and that only actual lawsuits and challenges to the law would do anything. His supposed non-profit organization came up, and the angry vet addressed the criticism he's received as he can't prove that he runs a federally recognized non-profit organization. He claimed that the solution would be provided soon and that everyone would know that his organization was legitimate. He also bemoaned the problem with crowdsourcing as he said he failed in his GoFundMe efforts. Looking at the market, he indeed failed for Saturday as only Craig Hendry's campaign received a donation, and Sunday as it was goose eggs across the board for all campaigns. We still need your help. Despite the GoFundMe market being dead, this publication is funded by your donations along with what little we make from our YouTube channel per month. While we did achieve full monetization on YouTube, we still need help to get through monthly expenses and keeping the lights on to bring you the paper and the newscast each day. If you can afford it, please consider donating to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All donations literally go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos, like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in. Kate Peter launches Masshole Mafia 2.0. Activist and YouTuber Kate Peter announced on her Sunday live stream that she had launched a new version of her Masshole Mafia-related Discord server after the old version mysteriously disappeared off of Discord last week. In a stream plagued by audio issues due to Peter's last-minute decision to switch from the StreamYard broadcasting software to the product put out by Streamlabs, Peter addressed the relaunch of her server along with news on Aiden Turtleboy Kearney's recent on-air meltdowns over the Karen Reed podcast he is contractually involved in. Peter denied knowledge of the reasoning behind the disappearance of her original Discord server last week and said she was as much in the dark as anyone else as to why it went down. She did not specify if it was a Discord issue or if the person running the server for her simply grew tired of it and took the server down. The theory that Pat, the owner of her original server, would take the server down was put into question as he was on her new server, actively participating and offering help in the rebuilding process. Peter's original Masshole Troll Mafia server was seen as the home of the anti-auditing movement for most of 2022, with the boom associated with the rise in hate watching Chille DeCastro's over-the-top antics. The server and the mafia of supporters were named in both DeCastro's dismissed federal civil rights lawsuit against Peter and his later California-based civil suit that is currently being litigated. While multiple splits within the community and Peter's increased focus on the Karen Reed murder trial saw the server fall out of favor with a lot of her supporters, it remained the default spiritual home to the so-called anti-auditing movement. As of press time, the Masshole Mafia 2.0 server has a handful of topics and is still rolling out a membership drive to inform her previous members of the new server. The Really Cool News daily newspaper and Auditing Insanity audio newscast both got their start on the Masshole server. Really Cool News' own server, Really Cool News Wire, has also provided at least a temporary home for a number of Masshole refugees in the absence of Peter's original server. We will continue to provide updates as Peter's server rebuilds. Deborah Rogers challenges Cherokee Nation again. YouTuber and associate of Jose Chille DeCastro, Deborah Rogers spoke at a recent council meeting of the United Kituwa Band and challenged the legal powers of the Cherokee Nation as a whole. Rogers, who previously challenged the Cherokee Nation's very existence in her 2023 drunk driving case that was decided under Cherokee Nation jurisdiction, was again challenging the jurisdiction of the nation in another DUI case. This time, her concerns came with a UKB tribal light horse police officer arresting a non-Cherokee on Cherokee Nation land and the handling of the case under Cherokee Nation law. Rogers claimed that the case should have either been dropped or turned over to the United States to try as it involved a non-Native American. Rogers was one of Jose Chille DeCastro's first people that he campaigned for in 2022 and 2023. She had been arrested for drunk driving in 2022 on Cherokee Nation land and resisted officers when they attempted to detain her, leading to a physical altercation in which she was tased and body slammed. DeCastro would challenge the body cam footage presented by officers during the trial, convincing Rogers that frames of the video were missing and others were inserted by police. At one point taking the claim so far as to attempt to fundraise for a forensic video expert to testify on Rogers' behalf that the footage was doctored. Rogers herself refused to comply in pre-trial proceedings and wound up in jail for contempt of court for 60 days. During that time, DeCastro led a fundraising campaign claiming that Rogers was being thirsted by prison guards as the only source of water in her cell came from a sink on the back of the toilet. DeCastro and Rogers also attempted to prove that the recognition of Cherokee Nation as a sovereign nation was illegal, and that Cherokee Nation had no jurisdiction of its own or rights to pass laws that conflicted with United States law. Rogers was ultimately found guilty of driving a motor vehicle while under the influence, resisting arrest, and carrying a loaded firearm on a Cherokee Nation land. She was fined $2,500 and was given a suspended 30-day sentence due to time served. Her case was one of DeCastro's most famous failures as a constitutional law scholar and not a lawyer, and set the stage for other failed campaigns. And we're back. I told you today's show was loaded with, well, it wasn't good stuff, but it was stuff. That's better than most days. We will update the situation with DeCastro's dog as more news comes in, and if it's true, our heart goes out to Charlie as he faces a dog owner who seems more involved in his causes than caring about someone in his care. On that note, we're out of here for another day. Take care and have a great Monday.